Hey everybody, welcome back to Vegas Tips and Tricks. Today, Vegas on a budget. You could spend probably hours discussing this topic. We will not spend hours discussing this topic. We're going to hit some bullet points, give you a few suggestions. You want to investigate some of those suggestions further. Right underneath the video today is the first edition of our show notes. It is the latest edition of our blog, and in that we'll highlight some of what we talked about today and give you links to some of the sites that we mentioned. So you'll want to check that out. Our shout out of the week to a new or growing YouTube site, also listed below. Today's winner is Amanda Danger Slots. I found this channel a few weeks back. I really enjoy her sort of laid-back approach to playing. It's almost like just looking over the shoulder of a friend while they're in the casino. It's some of the like slot channels just to sort of get attention, just to like boom, if everything. She also plays a lot of games I haven't seen before, so it's kind of fun to watch. So I put a link to her channel below. Vegas on a budget. Let's be honest, when we go to Vegas, we're all on a budget. We're all on a time budget. Economists say the real cost of anything is the opportunity cost, and that's certainly true in Las Vegas, because if you're staying at the Wynn, you're not staying at the Venetian. If you're seeing Le Rev, you're not seeing O. If you're eating in Hell's Kitchen, you're not eating at White Castle, and that's a shame. This is not a show about how to do Vegas on the cheap. Sound like a bird. I'm not going to talk about finding a bunk bed at a hostel, cooking your lunch of SpaghettiOs on a hot plate in the park. No. We're trying to take a step or two up from homeless today. I'm not going to talk at all about travel, okay? Done a number of videos. I'll put a link to the Getting There and Getting Around page on the website so you can look at that in more detail. That is worthy of quite a number of videos. We have touched on some of that before. Talk a little bit about hotels and then about things to do when you're in Las Vegas. Now, again, whether you bring a few $100s to Las Vegas or a few $100,000 to Las Vegas, what budgeting is really about is budgeting what it is you want to do, how you want to spend your time. It's actually somewhat easier when you have a smaller budget because there are fewer options available to you. In any case, the two things you're going to have to remember if you want to save money on a Vegas trip is you need to be flexible in terms of when you go, where you stay, where you eat, what you do, and you're going to have to invest some time. Again, time is money. If you want to just do it the easy way, you'll probably pay a little bit more money. If you get willing to take a little time and investigate some different opportunities, perhaps spend some time fiddling around with a game or spend some time waiting in line at a booth, you can save some money. Whether that's worth it to you, again, will depend a little bit on the kind of money that you're going to bring. If you don't have as much money to take to Las Vegas, then maybe you'll want to invest a little more time. And that's what we're talking about today. I'm going to briefly touch on hotels. I feel like I talk about hotels about every other week on the show, but it is a topic that people are interested in. I will put a link to the video that I made just a couple of months ago on my choices for the best budget hotels in Las Vegas. Not motels, that would be an interesting group though. And you can check out my suggestions there. In general, I always suggest that people first and foremost try to book the hotel directly with the hotel, because typically you're going to get just as good a deal as you would on some of the travel sites. And I always feel like the customer who gets the best deal, who gets the best service, is the one that goes directly through the hotel. If you're booking through the travel site, you're kind of a third party. You're the one that's getting the third floor room facing the air conditioning units, okay? Whereas if you're booking through the directly through the hotel, or better yet through the Players Club, you're likely to be the one who gets the nice view on the 30th floor. It just makes sense that in their mind you're a better customer. Keep in mind, in many cases, even if you're not a member of the Players Club, you may be able to join it online, and even if you've gambled very little or not at all, you're likely to still end up with a small discount over what you would pay if you did not log in through that Players Club. So keep that in mind. I am also not a fan of using the sort of blind hotel sites, Hotwire and Priceline. They serve a purpose, a useful purpose. I have checked them out on occasion. If you really want to get into the details of that, there are websites that talk about how to figure out what hotels are in what regions, or in some cases being able to figure out what hotel they're talking about just from the description. It does work. There's probably about a half a dozen places that are pretty easy to figure out. But again, I think these sites, I think you may drop even further to the back of the line as far as the hotel is concerned. So I always recommend booking direct. Now there may be some exceptions. A lot of times if you fly to Las Vegas, which most of you will, you may be able to get a package deal through your airline, which in some cases can be a great deal. If you look at the cost of airfare and then you compare that to the cost of the package, which might include a particular hotel, won't include the resort fees, keep that in mind, but neither will the rate you see on the website. You may once in a while find a great deal. Maybe the airfare is $300, but 4 nights at the hotel and airfare is $400. Well, good Lord, that's a great deal. Probably not going to beat that. So worth checking out. And it's also worth checking out the big travel sites. Once in a while they will have a tremendous deal. The thing you can do here is if you do see a deal on one of the travel sites, you can call the hotel directly and say, hey, I saw this price on here, will you match it? Frequently they will. So not always, but it's worth a try. So that's the hotel piece of it. But what about what you do when you get there? Again, flexibility is going to be key. And keep an open mind. Some of the best experiences I've had in Las Vegas, either food-wise or activity-wise, weren't necessarily things that were at the top of my to-do list. And then I discovered that it was actually very good. There's a lot of good restaurants in Las Vegas. There's a lot of good shows in Las Vegas. There's a lot of fun things to do in Las Vegas. They're not all considered the best of the best. Some of them are very popular. They're on the Travel Channel. You've all heard of them, whether or not you've been to Las Vegas or not. Those shows are going to be in very high demand. Those restaurants are going to be in very high demand. It's much less likely you're going to find discounts. And discounts are what we're all about. And there's a couple of different ways to find discounts. One of them is to do a little legwork prior to your trip. And a couple of sites I recommend for that legwork are Groupon and Travelzoo. Most people are probably familiar with Groupon. There are Groupons available pretty much everywhere. There are Groupons available in your city if you want to check it out, and most of you probably have. You may not have thought about using Groupon when you go to Las Vegas, but if you haven't, you should. Now, to be honest, a fairly large percentage of the Groupons available in Las Vegas are probably more appealing to locals and feature activities and restaurants and shows that may be scattered around the valley. You're in a car or you're just in the mood to explore a little bit, this can be a positive. But you may have to search a little bit more and you may not find quite as many things that are in the tourist corridor on the Strip or downtown, but there are some options there as well. You may very possibly be able to get something for half price or less. Now, again, just because it's cheap doesn't mean it's good, but just because it's cheap also doesn't mean it's bad. It may simply be a slow time. They may simply be trying to unload some tickets. Or it may just be something that's not very popular, but is in fact very good. So, it's worth checking out. The second site, which is much more geared towards travelers, as the name might suggest, is Travelzoo. They have a very active Las Vegas page. They'll send you a weekly sort of email update on what's going on and some of the new Travelzoo options they have. But there are shows, there are restaurants, and some very good ones, some very high profile shows, discounted. So definitely worthwhile checking out. I'll put a link to both Groupon and Travelzoo in the show notes. Once you get to Las Vegas, you also have an option, and that's to wait until the day of show and see if you can get a deal. One way to do that is to hit the sort of half-price ticket booths. I think there's a couple, 2 or 3 different companies that operate them, but they're all up and down the strip. You almost can't swing a dead cat without hitting one. Now, if you want the best of the best shows and the best of the best deals, it's a good idea to line up and be ready to check it out first thing in the morning when they open up, because some of the shows will sell out quickly, particularly if they're in high demand. They also have restaurant certificates, much like Groupon would, or you get $40 worth of food for $20. Worthwhile. It's my understanding, at least with 1 or 2 of these sites, I have to do a little more legwork on this one, that if you buy a ticket to a show, sometimes you'll get like a meal card that'll get you discounts at a number of restaurants, up to 50% off, I think, around Las Vegas. So that's a great deal in and of itself. If you line up and you don't see a show that you're familiar with, or you see some things that look possibly good, or you don't know anything about it, hey, take the time that you're standing in that line and check out Yelp or just Google the show and see what the reviews are like. You may be surprised at some of the good shows you can get for a very, very low price. Because a lot of these showrooms do not fill up, and so that's what they're taking advantage of at these half-price ticket booths. Along the same line, if there's a really, really big show you want to see in town, and maybe it's sold out, or if you go to Ticketmaster, everything is like a secondary seller and it's hundreds and hundreds of dollars more than you originally expected, one option is to check out the box office the day of show. A number of these hotels and casinos will hold back tickets, possibly for high rollers, at the last minute, and if no one appears to get hold of those tickets, they could be released at the last minute. So, hey, if you want to see Lady Gaga, you don't want to pay $800. Not always going to work, but might check with the box office day of show and see if there's any tickets available, because the tickets they're going to sell you are going to be regular list price. So, it's a good deal. One thing I didn't mention when it comes to hotels and or attractions, but I'll mention it briefly now, is you can get some of this stuff absolutely free. But there's a pretty big time investment. So, something to think about. Hey, are you one of those people that plays a lot of little games on your phones or your computer or your tablet? Do you like playing little slot machine games on your phone, computer, or tablet? Well, there's a couple of apps. Actually, there's a couple more, but I'm only familiar with 2 of them myself. There is the My Vegas app, and there is the Win Slots app. And through the My Vegas app, which is mostly affiliated with the MGM properties, though they do have other, not necessarily other hotels in Las Vegas, but other attractions that aren't connected to MGM. But you sign up, you get a certain number of coins to start playing, and they replenish your coins, every so many hours or every day, and you can then play their little games. And as you play the games, you earn points, much as you would earn when you're playing a slot machine and using your Players Club card. Now, unless you're betting a lot, the points add up pretty slowly. So it's not something you're going to, download the app over the weekend and be able to stay at the Aria for free 3 or 4 days later. But, hey, what I like to do sometimes is, I'll go through at the end of the day and I'll collect my coins. And then if I have some time on the weekend, I might go through and play through those coins. And I've been playing it for a number of years and haven't really used a lot of points, but you can get rooms at Excalibur, Luxor, Aria, Bellagio, Vdara, all those sorts of rooms for free. Now you're going to have to pay the resort fee, but the resort, $40 a night to stay at Aria, or $50, I think they just raised the resort fee, but that's still a great deal. And there's restaurants, you can get buffets, there's shows, there's attractions. It's definitely worth checking out, but again, you're going to have to invest some time in this. It's not, and I don't recommend, you can buy coins, but if you're going to start spending money on the games, you could almost just as well spend money on what you want to buy anyway. So, the Win Slots app, which is one that I just started playing about 5 or 6 weeks ago, and I've had pretty good luck on it. It's mostly the same thing. The thing here is this is mostly just, as far as I can tell, it's just to get room comps. But unlike My Vegas, you do see room comps even available on the weekend if you earn enough of what they call gems. And it's pretty straightforward, and I think you can even refuse the resort fee on these things. So, hey, if it's 6 or 9 months before your trip, download these apps, play around with them if you have fun with it anyway. And some of the games are fun. Some of the games are exactly the same ones you would find in the casino. You might be surprised. You might be able to pay for 2, 3, 4, 5 nights of your trip just from playing these games. So, like I said, don't spend all your time playing the games. Don't spend money on the games. But it's potentially a great deal because it's free. And free is always good. But as we've talked about, nothing is ever really free. And so, again, if you want to save some money, you're going to have to invest some time. Today we just talked very briefly about some of these topics. I can get into some of them in more detail. Obviously I have with hotels and airfare. If you'd like, let me know in the comments down below. This past week was the end of our Vegas 42 vlog. Tears, sadness, weeping, crying. We got to take a look at the room at the Downtown Grand. This week we will not have a video on Wednesday. We will have a new hotel profile available on the website, which you can always check out right below this video. So I hope you got some good tips here today. I hope you'll check out the show notes. As always, appreciate you watching. If you have not subscribed, please do so. Please like this video. Please give us a comment down below. We always appreciate them. And until next time, I hope that you have a great and lucky week, and we will see you soon.